prevented, so that the beds could have been used for other forms of illness.
A representative from the Ministry of Transport, Irene Mesiba, called for innovative ways to deal with road accidents.
We cannot keep lamenting, but rather collectively be responsible and put in place measures to stop these preventable deaths on our roads. We need to be innovative and move away from the business as usual approach.
The Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mohammed Niaje Sowa, wants all to view road safety as a collective responsibility approaching the Christmas season.
We all have our parts to play in ensuring that our roads are kept safe as we approach the Christmas season. I will take this opportunity to charge all road users to abide by the safety rules.
The commemoration-themed Road Has Stories is a United Nations initiative.
To some politics now, newly elected chairman of the opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, has downplayed sentiments that the inability of the party to elect a frontline executive from the Volta region will affect the fortunes of the party in the 2020 polls. Some aspirants from the region who lost the election said the move could affect the NDC's fortunes.
Former executives who just lost at the 9th Delegate Congress of the NDC are fueling sentiment that the inability of a Voltarian to hold a frontline role on the current National Executive Committee of the NDC may affect the party's chances in the region. Fred Agbenyo, Dan Abudapi, Koku Anyidoho, Anita Desoso, among others, are all from the World Bank of the party but have lost out.
It is not a region you want to take for granted when it comes to the activities of NDC, and that is why some of us would have thought that long before now, some senior and level-headed persons should have engaged people, sit down, do the balancing, do the engagement. Shouldn't have allowed people to just go into the race the way we did.
These sentiments were rife at the Congress and transcended discussions among some of the delegates. The deputy youth organizer of the party, the deputy women's commissioner of the party, and other deputies are linked to the Volta region, many say. But the national chairman of the party, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, is not enthused about the development.
I believe that I'll prove all the critics wrong because I have great friends in the Volta region, and I always feel that the Volta region is my second home. And so, with this development, I think I'll be going to the Volta region more than before, and to give them reassurance that they will have a place in the party. And the fact that they don't have the national chairman of the party doesn't mean that they don't matter in the party. We'll consider them on our top priority because of the number of votes that they bring on board anytime that there is an election.
These concerns, which are trickling down the nerve of the party and making waves on media platforms, he reckons can create a perception.
Let's do some education stories now. The Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC, has described as illegitimate a decision by the National Council for Tertiary Education not to validate members to draw their November salaries. The association says it will not be intimidated in pursuing what is legally due its members. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Teachers in the various public colleges of education across the country have not been in classrooms for the past 3 weeks. The teachers are on strike demanding payment of market premium and book and research allowance. For absenting themselves from the classroom for 16 days, the National Council for Tertiary Education, NCTE, has directed principals of the colleges of education not to validate the teachers for their November salaries. But CTAC says the NCTE directive is legitimate.
We expect that they should be the pace setters for following the laid down principles and rules that govern all of us, our lives, and the work that we do for others to follow. We know that the act that establishes the National Council for Tertiary Education does not in any way give them that mandate to pronounce a strike, legal or otherwise. That rests in the bosom of the National Labour Commission.
The association says it will continue to fight for what is due its members.
We are boldened by this decision that they have taken. We, as leaders of the association, and all of us who are members of the association, we are good students of the philosophy that if you fail to stand up for something, you fall for anything, and wouldn't like to fall for anything. We believe we are on the right path of law.
The 36 public colleges of education would have to be closed down if the teachers are not back to the classroom by Monday, November 26.
The Aviation Minister has charged the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority to ensure their turnaround time is reduced to complement efforts at making Ghana the aviation hub of Africa. Joseph Kofi Ada made the call when operators of the Unity Airline received its air operation certificate from the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority.
Unity Airline began the processes of certification to operate in Ghana's domestic and regional air services space over a year ago. The company, like many others, has gone through rigorous 5-phase certification process before attaining the feat of receiving the air operation certificate. But Aviation Minister insisted reducing the turnaround time for licensing and other procedures is paramount to the overall goal of the industry.
If we're taking them 1 year to approve a certificate, we want to cut it down perhaps by 50%. If it was taking them 2 weeks to do some inspections, we want them to cut it down, meaning that no individual would frustrate any entrepreneur who wishes to go into the airline business. Nobody would demand or request things that are not required, but will not compromise quality and security in this effort.
He called for healthy competition and the use of all the airspace in the country. Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Engineer Simon Alote, agreed with the minister.
It's not the examiners, it's the applicants, your readiness and your preparedness to meet the requirements and the conditions set forth for issuance of the air operator certificate. So, yes, 6 months is possible if the applicant meets the requirements in a timely manner.
Chief Executive Officer of Unity Airline, operated by Air Futures, Bethel Donko, assured of safety during their operations.
We have trained our pilots, we have trained our engineers, we have the aircraft that we are going to use for the operations.
Let's do some international stories now. 4 people have died in a shooting at a Chicago hospital, including 2 female members of staff and a police officer and the gunman himself. The 2 women killed were a doctor and a pharmaceutical assistant, Mayor Emmanuel confirmed. The police spokesman said the gunman had died in an exchange of shots, but it is not clear if he took his own life. Well, that's all for the news for this morning. Newday returns shortly after this break.
Status, who will, suffer for it. And they are the very people who tend to oftentimes be the one who would disregard having bins in, sanitary areas, and you have to drop something in a bin, because it comes back to education, where we taught these things. And for me, it's not only about formal education. We should learn certain things for our own benefit. When you litter, you make the environment dirty, you create more filth, you cause diseases to be rampant. You get sick, you go to the hospital, and the little money that you don't have technically is what you're putting back to make sure you cure yourselves. And so it's a cycle, it's a vicious one. And if we don't start looking at it critically, if you think it's affecting someone else and so you don't care, look critically, because it will come back to harm you.
Yeah, well,
so I think it's unfortunate.
Yesterday I had occasion to watch a video of a guy in the United Kingdom who was calling out to Theresa May to come and live with where they live for a moment, so that she'll be able to understand the frustrations they go through, the things they go through. So when they go to take decisions at the high table, they will know what decisions to take which will influence them. Because if you have not walked a mile in my shoe, how do you then decide what feels for me? I think that our politicians here must also do that. We only see our politicians mingling with the low class, so to speak, or the ordinary Ghanaian when it's time for votes. So you find Honorable Okovana Boy plating here and trying to prepare bank, and they do all manner of antiques. You find even our presidents currently now, you found him eating with some people. President Mahama would do it, President Mills of blessed memory would do it, President Rawlings would jump into the gutter, and so you have and people aspiring to become MPs will get closer to the people during election. After the election, what happens?
Exactly.
Do we see the MPs within the communities? Because before the elections, they do clean-up exercises, they do health walks, they go on regular jogging, they organize free extra classes and all those things. As soon as they get power, end of story. Only a handful of them go back to the people to keep those things going on. And I can always beat my chest for Honorable Haruna Idrisu. You know, he would get onto the football field and play football with them. Sometimes, you know, if he'll come and people are eating their watch, he'll just come and dip his hand and pick something and start eating. And I think that's what the quintessential politician in Ghana should be doing. I haven't seen much of Madame Cecilia Dapa, who was sanitation minister. And by saying that, I mean that I don't know what the plan is. We all know what the president has said, that Accra should be the cleanest city in Africa. The AMA has said we are working towards it, even though I don't know what exactly we're doing. Because a year ago in November, the AMA outdoored a WhatsApp line, 2 WhatsApp lines that we should be able to call if we find people dropping. I don't know how far we have gone with that. Maybe we'll check. But I have not seen Madame Cecilia Dapa's plan. Because the sanitation marshals, as we were told we will have, under Mr. Kofi Adda, are still not there. We still don't have the sanitation marshals. Whether they have been selected and nobody has authenticated them to go to work, we don't have the sanitation marshals. And we don't know what the plan is. Whether we're going with enforcement, whether we're going with education, or whether we're going with the provision of resources to help clean, or whether we're doing a combination of all the three. We don't know what the plan is. And I'm hoping that the Ministry of Water and Sanitation will be able to share detail with us. Because this is sickening. Yesterday, I felt so sad. So sad.
You will.
10-15 minutes of rain. And I'm sure, no, I was only at First Light. But I'm sure people who were elsewhere would have seen it. And you see, when you start asking people not to litter, it then comes back to the reverse. Have you provided the bins? And yesterday I asked Chairman Adekoka, who was a member of the NDC's planning committee. I said, Chief, you told the people not to take their rubbish into the hall. But did you provide bins? He said, well, that was for the Fantasy Dome management to provide for them. I said, but there were no bins. So be complete in your processes. It
certainly is. But Johnny, let's walk people through what our lineup for today would be. Today is World Children's Day. We celebrated that last year, and it was very exciting.
Yesterday, the International Men's Day.
Let's not go back to it.
I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the celebration.
Really? Well, I saw on social media some women, you know, acknowledging what men had done in their lives and the state. But what does the state do? It's an individual thing. You're celebrating.
So the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection didn't care.
Oh, maybe they did.
Didn't have a commemorative
maybe if you had gone, did you go to the office? We didn't go, so we can't say
if they had a commemorative press conference, I'm sure.
No, certainly not a press conference, but maybe they had a little meeting.
If we're having the World Women's Day, International Women's Day, they organize events.
But we champion those things.
Yes, but if
the women themselves, did you champion anything
but the point is that if we are having International Women's Day, they champion it. International Children's Day, today, we will have
Okay, so they are gender biased.
Yes.
Very well.
So gender is not only about women and children. Gender includes men.
Well, the talk would always come back to this. The talk towards women and children has been because they have been, you know, marginalized for a long time. Johnny, you know we've come this far. And so it's not that we're neglecting or totally forgetting what men have done to bring us this far, but men have often, you know, been in the forefront. And so it doesn't make it seem exceptionally new for us to celebrate them because they've been celebrated for so long.
Let me give you a simple example. Let me give you a very simple example. Now, there's been a talk about bringing a girl child on so that we can spare them on to achieve greater heights, correct? Which has given rise to most of these new wave of gender debates, correct? Now, we have also told the girls that, oh, if a man touches you this way, it is abuse. If a man does this, it is sexual abuse. If a man does this, it is wrong. How are we socializing our boy children okay, to be able to correspond with what you are telling the girl. That
and that's what we wanted to hear on World International. I mean, Men's Day, International
but
Men's
that is
Day.
the gender ministry's job
but
to do.
Johnny, that is what I'm saying. That on the other side, where for some of the other women activities is not really championed by the gender ministry, women will take it up, and then maybe the gender ministry will collaborate. That's what I see
all the men's fellowship in the churches should come together and form an international association
and support you.
Oh man,
it's just as it is.
My brothers, you see how the women are treating us, my brothers.
And then, Johnny, we'll touch on the Ghana Caterers Association. They have been talking about the weak enforcement of the food hygiene, standards, and the fact that it's crippling their activities because some people don't practice the hygienic, conditions under which you're supposed to prepare and sell food, and it's making all of them look bad.
I asked the AMA's, I think Mr. Akwe, that's his name. I asked him about this about 3 weeks ago on Community Connect on 3FM, and I said, look, Chief, if you are certifying people to have health certificate to be able to sell food, if you go into a regular office, you will find their business operation permit there, which says that they are licensed to operate a business. How do I know if I go to my watch seller and to go and buy a watch? How do I know if he has a certificate or not? Should they start wearing it around their neck like a pendant? And he says, well, that could be. I said, well, can we demand of these vendors that show me your certificate? He says it will be difficult. I says, well, so
how do we know?
If you don't have adequate inspectors, they are not displaying it. We can't ask them because they may often not have it on them. How do we know we are safe?
You wouldn't know. You just have to pray and hope that God blesses your belly so you don't get sick. And then finally, today is Tuesday, and so we'll do chamber. We'll talk about police brutality. And then we'll see what the law says concerning that. I think the law is pretty clear. In
the middle of all of that, in the midst of all of that, there's sports, there's the paper review segment, and also we'll look forward to your WhatsApp messages on 020-21-666-33. That's 020-21-666-33. What's up next on our menu?
It's time for us to do
we check the front pages, won't we? And says BNFT, revised VAT regime not business friendly, and property owners to prove source of wealth. Finance Minister. And cashew processors target 80,000 metric tons in 5 years. The Finder newspaper. Innocent killing of 7 Mansong Kwanta Zongo youth. 21 police officers interdicted. When will Ghana establish an independent police complaint commission? Very good question there, Senior Elvis Daku. Chief launches 4 billion Ghana cedis fundraising support for free SHS. Former staff of UT Capital Banks welcome Oforiate's assurance. And government begins nationwide engagement with cocoa farmers. Plus, armed robbers shoot policeman in the eye. And finally, the Ghanaian Times says, killing of 7 alleged robbers. Interdict 21 police personnel. Government orders police administration. IGP contempt case. Court sets aside conviction. And TUC, government must move away from financing National Cathedral. Government must move away from financing it. Yesterday, the Bankers Association's president, Mr. Alassane Antani, he was not so much enthused about government's decision to pay the DKM customers. And he says if that continues, everybody could set up, a scheme or two, take people's money, spend it, and then we will take the poor taxpayers' money and go and pay them. I think that, people go into these things because of stubbornness, I must call it so. They're stubborn. If the Bank of Ghana, for example, has told you, don't do business with these people, and you go ahead and do, why should I be the one to be paying for you?
I agree.
It doesn't add up.
I certainly, but I can also see where government will probably be coming from, where when, Bank of Ghana stood in to say that they're going to make sure DKM customers get something out of it. I think at that point, they might have thought that they failed our system, in the sense that they weren't able to take DKM off so that no one would go there to be, you know, having any interaction with them in the first place. So I think looking at it from government's side, that's where they came from, and the fact that they had gone into that agreement with the customers, and so now they have to fulfill. But moving forward, I would want to believe that in this part where we're now educating more and sending out those warnings, and government actively, or Bank of Ghana actively, will be taking its role as the regulator, we wouldn't be seeing these things happening. Because if you do that, then in some way you're just reinforcing and allowing people to continue with Ponzi schemes and institutionalize. Exactly. And so moving forward, I think we shouldn't perpetuate that.
DKM was not alone. There were 77 of them, 77 microfinance companies there, you know, with them. So I wonder what happens to the others. Yes, insistence is on DKM. So does it translate that all the others are getting paid as well? But yesterday, KNUST started lectures. But I'm not interested in the lectures. I'm interested in the inquiry that the Asantehene has set in motion, and the judge is going to handle that. There are a lot of issues that, you know, I think must be dealt with. And over the weekend, I met Mr. Johnny Osei Kofi, former Deputy Chief of Staff. He's actually a lecturer at the KNUST. And shockingly, there's more to the KNUST story than we've been told in the public domain. There is actually more to it than we've been told. So we're watching closely the committee of inquiry. We're watching to see what accounts come forth. We're watching to see what accounts come forth. And
finally, Johnny, the innocent killing of the 7 youth. I mean, I feel it's very disturbing, because I think we went talking about it when it happened, that it shouldn't be the way the police would want to handle situations. We had a similar incident when it came to, you know, Major Mahama. We all as a nation were not amused with that kind of, you know, instant justice that we want to deliver. And so because we know the law courts are there and we know the rule of law works, ideally we should be able to go through the rigors of it to make sure we get to conclusions of matters. Now you've killed 7 youth. What happens? And now you're telling us they weren't armed robbers. All you can do is sorry. And that's not enough. Fine would interdict police personnel, but would that bring back their lives? You see, and so that's why it's very important for us to hasten slowly when it comes to some of these things, particularly now where the courts are working. For me, in the past, maybe we didn't see the court working so well, and we thought it was taking forever. But now we know that eventually it still will work.
You know what I heard about this matter over the weekend as well? That the gentlemen in question, and this is not to preempt any investigation, but the gentlemen in question were also wielding guns. Now, where did they get the guns from? Where were they taking the guns to? Were they indeed firing back at the police? These are questions.
But they didn't live to tell their story.
Well, so did they have guns? 1. Where did they get the guns from? 2. Where were they taking the guns? 3. Why were they firing at the police? 4. Why didn't they stop when the police asked them to stop? These are my 5 questions that if I get a chance to ask anybody who's standing in stiff defense, we agree that the police shouldn't be brutalizing us. But where you have a gun, which is not authorized, and you were firing at the police, and you were driving off, the police certainly would, because if somebody comes to my home with a gun and starts firing, the police patrol team is in the area and they start retaliating, it's for my benefit and for my safety. These are questions I think we should ask when we go deeper and one. Interdicting the policemen alone may not be enough. After interdiction, they could be called back anyway. But we need to ask the critical questions. Where were the guns from? Where were the guns being taken to? Why did the gentlemen fire? Why didn't they stop when the police asked them to stop if they were indeed clean? That's the question we want to ask. But
anyway,
Vodafone is asking you to make the smart business choice right now, and they need to go for your smart business from Vodafone to experience real flexibility, convenience, and productivity. Smart business from Vodafone allows you to create your own customized data and voice plans to suit the unique requirements of your business, whether it's the airtime for your co-workers to make those critical calls or data packages for emails and digital marketing. We've got you covered, and that's why they're asking you to be able to roll over your unused data to save some cash for your business. Move your business into the future with Vodafone and Smart Business. Call them on 0302 334 040 or 0800 10,000 or visit www.vodafone.com.gh/business/smart-business to build your own plan. Vodafone says the future is exciting. Question is, are you ready?
Anyway, it's time for us to talk about children because it's International Children's Day. When we talk about that, what comes to your mind?
I feel for the children breastfeeding children whose fathers fight with them over breast milk. On this day of International Children's Day, if you're a father and you've been fighting your child over breast milk, stop it. The Ghana Health Service says exclusive breastfeeding. Stop it, Jai.
I don't even know how to respond to that, but anyway, guys, we are ranting about International Children's Day and the fact that children have a voice and it's time for us to listen to them critically. Let's step out and rant.
November each year is set aside to celebrate the child worldwide. UNICEF this year is encouraging corporates, individuals and schools worldwide to go blue in ensuring that we all contribute in building a world where children will be in school, will also be safe from harm and can fulfill their full potential. This morning on Daily Rant, we want to find out whether as a parent, your mind is at ease when your child goes to school, and whether you are confident that per our educational curriculum and calendar, your child will be able to fulfill his or her full potential. This is the Daily Rant. My name is Eric Yawaje. Let's keep talking.
Mumban baby I walk to school no quite semini. What do school where I'm safe? I know I can rest till the day is over or until I've gone for them. The reason being that my from baby I walk to school environment one ankasa oye in terms of hygiene, in terms of security.
Schools be war and the trees. Schools be war and the shed. School be war one fancy. Intino onyeni nyinara kakra bi na se edo bakowa wasum ojo na ebi tire wona woda ka kwan ho na ade no se wo ba okọ school na so mbe ya wasum njo
me ba kwa saito na ade ba kwa ya awerho ne se eto de bi obekwa e break time no wo baby a nkwada na so mu di agorokora nu akoto ebe wa awerho one day mkoto me ba no baby a e kakakra bi nka me unifi school ho se wo hwe school bi wo ye kire he yi enkwada wo mo betre exams SHS3 what you say wo mo deda form enche bia secondary akwada keto a oye ne homework oti classroom a oye ne work nu yonko tumi bejeje no atwen ade wo no makwada ne wiye. Where was the teachers? Arehu sem bi ekosi wo dompem buses a efa a school for nkwada hwe how are you see ye pack wo mu nti sa me meba ko school a makoma ntomi yem menua ye koso no arehu.
I was going to make reference to the accidents. So we're in region particularly, the number of cases I record where school children and who appears to be going up. So long as I mean who any concrete plan, engagement, conversations with these people as how they should be conveying our kids and how they should even be behaving with the cars, with the kids to the school. No, honestly speaking, it gets me to be worried every now and then. I ask, is it going to be me next?
At the time we were in school, there were even 3 categories of street children. Children of the street, children on the street, and abandoned children. Today, we still have issues like that. But that does not present a very serious situation in which when your child leaves for school, you have to resort to prayers. That is why we have the public and private schools. And even some public schools have got the standards enough for you to say that my child is safe. We are not riding away that there are some few of them that teachers must be where kids are playing, that we still have to advocate that. But teachers as they are, when the kids are playing, they probably will mark it.
If it is that bad, we shouldn't send the children there. I mean, or you'll be in a bar, or in shadow you'll be in a bar. Oh, you're number. And one, it's more very bad than as a massa. No more street side. Or the you your security, the wash shed them from and break time. They will cross another part time I was a school being general.
The actual government schools now, administrators in one hands are tied. They cannot take any decision on their own. Every decision that you have to take, you have to consult the director of education or the government. And if you have been told that they should not pay any fee, it is a that one say school no olubumpa won tumi yan wo hwe unlike the private schools in the obi about my PTA meeting no afra and that con school fees with ya into oma government school no run no why is them
me kai say me constituency small of membra akwa constituency jamra edan kobu ye man kwara 6 omu ye say yekọ cancer road he yi the other time mu kofa assembly members one of the assembly members betra mu connect FM emma school one amanfo 2 wiregu school ho ye 2 wiregu aho a nkwara n be di agro ho wo mu didi awo ho ye 2 wira su go enti bibi ti sa no masa mi nya ti dai me ba no ko a o kosua de okwaje ntete ba at the end of the day no na sika kakra I will say me di twa na school fees na me dey hospital.
There is a school in a village under the metro called Mberedani. That is the only school that ran multi-grade system. When they say multi-grade system, we are talking about more than 3 classes put in one class. Class 1, class 2, class 3. When you know one class and teacher could ochra one a day. The entire school has only 2 trained teachers, 1 untrained teacher. Classroom block near 2 Mberedani or Waha before Mampong. Who is supposed to do this? It is the government. And also whether with our CCTV cameras or not, because of high supervision, we are able to check this. Because once the headmaster moves around the corridors and sits down, they teach. Some of these things cannot happen. Before the invention of CCTV cameras, what were we doing? Personal presence is what we use to check some of these things. And also the parents themselves too are not helping us. How many of our parents even visit the school? How many of our parents can do due diligence over a school you want your child to go? You have gone to see that a school is started by the roadside and you say your child should attend there. Out of forgetfulness, they can come out of the break and cross a car. Then you say the witches in Banchase are disturbing you.
Per yen educational curriculum, now what is happening to our calendar now? Do we believe, or as a parent, are you convinced that that will help bring out the full potential of the child?
Young curriculum no or you loaded say Ghana curriculum na you run na you fa integrated science for example obi wa secondary school there no on integrated science it's like a monster 4 subjects put together curriculum na he say you run po secondary school ya or you 4 years you know na you run and this time 3 years when 4 years what topics ni be what can one first no 3 years you know no nyim na what that can we no so inside why and double track actually once at to do into the non contact hours in way increase but contact hours I found to class my batch and I know wa agenesis into the sister wama massa a chada or there a extraordinary na I found so do brilliant facility soon you secondary school in your no I'm secondary school 27 in the secondary school the class be where 55 60 teacher Emma work crowd to them into no you there curriculum or your problem or very loaded into teachers into me practicals biology practicals into me science all practical oriented courses into me practicals or we have facilities na lampo ebiniwo labs ebiniwo ICT labs ebiniwo into no oma at the children secondary school you very difficult and in some places simple resources yes na lampo ebiniwo
there's a problem with the curriculum. Where a friend now man a wabe schooler was in the one started young kind of 4 years KG1 waba. The curriculum is such that a friend no erection aze. But that is the time the brain of the child is being developed. In Tinko what then kayema we give the children the enabling environment with the materials and activities so that at that level no they will be able to fish out what they want to do. Discover themselves into one teacher no oh afraid oh yeah ma. So as a guide then at that time the teacher becomes a guide na a boyfriend ma but and when you know what's now into say English now by teacher na ba no sa rhyme out dey good nyina ya aka
unim says this here igina ha me no kase nda na pay a World Children's Day colleges of education teachers almost strike say you share the number of strikes are kosu krum ha at the end of the day who suffers enye nkwara no enti we ni curriculum kura wo besua na de kura wo besua no ehene na efa ye wana aban bi ababeka kyen se be yanka nkwara no so wo mo start esua de a ye fu yanka say local language ye mfantiala ye ndi kan fa nkere wo mu. What are we seeing? Who is monitoring that? Akwara bi enu an na uko schools akwara bi enu a we kyena de ade mfanti me say ye de ano kan kaka yi wi na ye je maguo en akwara ko school ahwe bag bonachi akwara bi na manu we sab we busei books abaden kotin ye theory and yet.
For me, there's a fundamental error with how you started training in schools. Wrong. Because research has shown that you need only one kind of intelligence. You want the spatial intelligence. Nipano from the beginning, Nenije how you see to Tonyama what we were supposed to do is to know that as a teacher at that level, notice that Akolawe, the kind of intelligence or one is on this one. Then we should have a course, a program from the very beginning about assisted Akolano, so that Akolano will tow that direction. There will be so more kinetic intelligence, musical intelligence, sensual intelligence. But what do we see? We are all boxed together in one box. At the end of the day, we examine on one particular area.
Young problem that we inherited a colonial system and handed over a curriculum system that do not reflect our needs. But I think that if a young curriculum, it gives room for people to expose their talent. Why do we study music and dance? Why do we study PE? But because we don't examine them, people think that they are not necessary. Nkofubi were Ebony. We call Ebony Neviasi. They went to Ebony's funeral and donated huge sums of money. But that was not something he did at the university level. His talent. My problem now, in this country, there are a lot of Montessori schools around. Then you ask yourself, you go, Montessori is good. It makes you learning become very practical. But if you look at, there is no continuity in the training. Obekwa no ojai, no about a traditional system. So you must go through it to a particular level. We don't have any Montessori school that starts from preschool to JSS now.
I don't understand why every human being Obeko school should be examined with one specific question across West Africa. All of us at the secondary school level, all of us should answer one particular question. Then in my view, you are trying to create one kind of people. Meanwhile, problems that are facing us are different.
Is it the paper and pencil exams? Na ye no onye onwen science other ye practicals. Ye practicals. Home economics ye practicals. Government won't provide facilities, as a practicals, and that is our problem. And until we move from this paper and pencil exams, we will not develop this time around. It is performance-based assessment.
I'm still looking at how safe our schools are for the training of our kids. Today, in all the public basic primary school, you go there in the night, and it has been turned into a wee den. Now, somebody who is asthmatic comes the next day and inhales that, and he has a trigger. I think that our schools should be resourced enough. At least parents should drift from paying watchman fees. Government should pick it up so that at least it will be safe enough for our kids to go to school. Because the human resource today determines where we are going tomorrow.
The human resource today determines where as a country we are headed for tomorrow. As the world celebrates the child today, the takeaway is that we should ensure that our children are safe in school, and also we should take a look at the curriculum to make it not too content-based but a lot of practical, so that the children themselves can explore from their formative stages. This has been the Daily Rant with me, Eric Yawaje from Takrade. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us.
Thank you very much for joining us. The Daily Graphic says, interdict 21 policemen. Government directs police service over killing at Mansong Kwancha. And IGP escapes contempt conviction. Government engages cocoa farmers to strengthen ties. And government releases 2 billion cedis to pay contractors. The BNFT says property owners to prove source of wealth. Finance Minister, and revised VAT regime not business friendly. Cashew processors target 80,000 metric tons in 5 years. The Finder newspaper says 21 police officers interdicted. When will Ghana establish an independent police complaint commission? And Chief launches 4 billion Ghana cedis fundraising support for free SHS. And former staff of UT Capital Banks welcome Oforiate's assurance. Armed robbers shoot policeman in the eye, and government begins nationwide engagement with cocoa farmers. Interdict 21 police personnel. That's the Ghanaian Times headline, and says government orders police administration. IGP contempt case. Court sets aside conviction. TUC government must move away from the financing of the National Cathedral. Then the Daily Guide wraps it up for that. It says AG strips Woyomi over Trasako houses. Iduasare cries over wrong ballot, and 21 cops interdicted for killing 7 Aswase residents. Volta NDC dumped. My guest this morning is Mr. Stephen Amoah. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Maslog. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
In a while.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Great. How's it going?
By the grace of God, everything is all right.
Over the weekend, we had the Media General Startup Firm Funding Summit. Maslog was a worthy partner. Your overview, if I give you a minute to do an overview, what would you say?
Good morning to our viewers this morning. I think the concept was extremely good, and I think TV3 did a great job. However, I think the patronage, I was expecting bigger patronage, especially Accra, looking at the population size, looking at the number of entrepreneurs we have in our system, young guys who want to go into businesses, those who have. But one thing that I also noticed that I was quite amazed was the fact that I think larger proportion of the participants were young, and women. And I think if we are to do this very well next time, that is the participation, I'm sure it will go a long way to help us as a country. So I think the concept was very good. But next time, a lot of people should attend. A lot of people should attend.
Most grateful. Let's move on now. The Finder newspaper, and it's actually on the front page of most of the stories. This is a story by Senior Elvis Dark. It says some 21 police personnel have been interdicted and are to be subjected to a formal criminal investigation for their alleged role in the killing of 7 Zongo youth at the Mansong Kwanta in the Ashanti region on July 7, 2018. The decision once again ignites the debate about the need for an independent police complaints commission to clamp down on personnel who breach the laws of Ghana. Chief, this report yesterday that we had says the 7 gentlemen, contrary to earlier reports, are not armed robbers. And this is where we are. 21 police officers have been interdicted. Does it solve the problem?
I think it depends on the stake of the stakeholders involved, what they are expecting from the authority. And I think you can't say it has solved the problem now. It's a primary finding that they've done. And interdiction is in a way, it's a prohibition, like you are prohibited from discharging your duties, or you're asked to probably hold on whilst further investigation or other sanctions will be taken. But I think it has to go deeper and further and make sure that if they have a confirmatory finding that indeed this is what actually happened and it's true with all the evidence, the police involved should be dealt with in a more appropriate manner to deter other policemen who sometimes put up antisocial behaviors recklessly to endanger the lives of the citizenry. I think we need to check that. But I also say that the police, they've done well, because I learned they were part of the investigation committee. I mean, from informal sources that I had, I can't be 100% sure because it's not official. And if they themselves have been part of the whole investigation and they've been able to provide these vital pieces of information to the public, I think we are getting somewhere. But it's also advice to all of us. I'm sure something or some might have gone wrong. Even though they were not armed robbers, what happened? What did they go there to?
There's actually a school of thought that's asking questions, and this morning I put 5 of those questions out. That look, there's a school of thought that the gentlemen had guns, and some have said that it was the police who brought the guns to come and frame them, if you will. But then another school of thought says every gun in the police armory is registered. So if the guns were indeed brought from the police, we should be able to trace them. It gets murky as we travel along, don't you think?
One thing I also don't know, I don't know whether you know, whether the full finding by or from the committee has been made public, because they will be able to give us these details. What kind of guns that were used, even the bullets. could be detected. And
Absolutely.
then they will find out who actually was using it.
Absolutely.
But you know, many a time these things happened. When issues of this nature occur, sometimes the parties involved do not really come clear in terms of the exact information that we need to inform our decision making. And that's why I'm saying that primarily the findings have indicated that they were not armed robbers.
Okay.
I don't know all of them, but I know about 2.
Okay.
And
you
I
do
know,
personally?
yes,
Okay.
I know. And I know, in my opinion, they are not armed robbers.
Okay.
But that is on the periphery or at the periphery.
Right.
Because sometimes you know somebody for years, you might not know what he does when
People
he's alone
change.
in his closet. But so far as these guys were concerned, I knew they were not armed robbers.
Right.
But then whatever happened that time,
Okay.
on instant, I wasn't there, so I can't talk about it.
Right.
But now it's being realized that these guys were not armed robbers. So what actually led to that engagement?
Okay.
We should be able to find out.
Right.
What happened? You know, I think prior to that, a policeman had been killed.
Right. Sure.
What was that a remote cause? That because a policeman had been killed, the slightest misunderstanding or engagement, the police had to retaliate. Was it the
Because
case?
this sparked a lot of outrage out there. A
Yeah.
lot of outrage.
And still, they have not given up. They are looking for, probably they think there should be justice.
Right.
Now, I'm sure their hearts will be at peace. Not that they are satisfied. They have not actually been able to give in the utility or satisfaction that they're expecting. But for the fact that they have been exonerated by the committee that yes, they did not or involved in robbery, it's we are getting somewhere.
Absolutely.
We are getting somewhere. But I think some others are saying that interdiction alone is like, yes, it's true. But I think we are also jumping the gun.
There's criminal prosecution to come up. That's the direction.
Exactly.
We're heading towards now.
Once this is established, it doesn't end there. They will move further to find out more pieces of evidence or pieces of information. Based on that, the right decision or measures will be taken by the appropriate authority.
Right.
So I think people should exercise patience and eschew all forms of antisocial behaviors and cooperate and wait patiently and see what will happen after this incident. I think that's what we have to do.
Very grateful. This is the paper review live on TV3 Newday, and you can always join us on our WhatsApp line 020-21-666-33. We're also live on Twitter and on Facebook, so feel free to toss your comments. We'll share them with the rest of the wonderful world. I've been engaging Mr. Stephen Amoah, CEO of Maslock, but I've been joined by the MP for North Tong and the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, the Honourable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. Chief, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Great, and welcome.
Thank you.
Great. We're just discussing, in your absence, the 21 police officers who have been interdicted, the Manson Kwanta case. The questions keep popping up. Yesterday, the committee's report said they are not armed robbers, as was stated earlier. But then some are pressing and asking, is it time for us to have an independent police, commission that could investigate? Oftentimes when these things happen, you would have the police say they are investigating themselves. Is it time yet?
Good morning to you. Good morning to Stephen, who I haven't seen in a while, and good morning to
Because you're a big man.
I
thought
it was the other way around. And good morning to distinguished viewers. I think that it is in order to begin with renewing our commiserations and condolences with the family of these 7 victims. Such a tragic way to lose your loved ones, lose your children, by all accounts. And now we know that all of these accounts are a vindication of what their parents, the community leaders, the imams, the MP for the area, my own chief whip, Alhaji Muntaka Muhammad, they have all attested to the fact that they knew these young men.
Okay.
They are very decent young men, very sober, law-abiding, and that they were not armed robbers.
Okay.
Now the government report vindicates that position. So we can only extend our condolences. I pray that Allah would strengthen them. I must also commend the community leaders, the religious leaders, for the way they managed tensions. At all times told the youth to be calm, not to engage in reprisal attacks. Tensions were really high.
Right.
You know,
There
I mean,
was outrage.
it was really, really outrage, and justifiably so. And once again, it brings to the fore the issue of police professionalism. There are many of them in uniform, put themselves in harm's way, who are sacrificing a lot. Look at every night when we are going home, no matter how late, they are there on the streets making sure that we are safe and all of that. A lot of them do a good job, but there are bad nuts amongst them. There are those who consistently try to bring down the good name of the Ghana Police Service. And this is an instance. I mean, on what basis did they hold that press conference? Saying that, oh, these were armed robbers, they had even tried to shoot at them, and so they only shot in defense, and that is what led to the killing of these 7. It's turned out that none of that is true. Even the guns that they had...
Somebody says frame them with.
They had exhibited, you know, for you in the media to come cover. I mean, it's a clear case of... And you don't expect elements in the Ghana Police Service to be engaged in this kind of conduct. And you know, this is a global thing where communities like Asawase in the West is black communities, inner cities, where there's profiling and prejudice when it comes to the policing. In other words, the way the police go about their duties in the urban areas, the plush communities, so in East Legon, Cantonment, Slaboni, is different from when they are policing, say, at Asawasi or Mamobi or Nima and all of that. So it's a global situation. You remember that in the United States of America, I think that it hasn't even really subsided. It's still there. Black Lives Matter and all of that. You know, it brings back that matter of profiling, prejudices, when because this you know, either blacks or it's a Zongo community, so we can do whatever and get away with it.
But why do we have
you
that?
Know, isn't it, you know, many years of, you know, segregation, discrimination, you know, prejudice. You know,
in our case, why would we have a police deal differently with those in East Legon from how they deal with those in, say, Nima or Mamobi?
There are many instances like that. You know, it's a prejudice. When you are policing in communities like that, you know, some carry prejudice, and I must say that it's not all, as I've said, it's not all police officers. There are some who do a good job, who have to be commended, sacrifice a lot. Even this same week, as we discussed this matter, there are police commanders who have been shot, some by armed robbers, others by community people, you know, in the line of duty. You know, some lose their lives, some are maimed, some suffer permanent injuries. So I'm being balanced here. I'm not trying to paint all police officers with the same brush.
You can't have a perfect
system. I'm saying that, look, there have been many police reports about police reforms. The need to eliminate these prejudices. You know, the need to ensure that even their training, you know, the kind of mindset with which they join the force with, even the screening. I mean, you recall several instances of robbery attacks, and by the time arrests are effected and all of that, it's either police officers or their collaborators handing over weapons to these robbers and all of that. So there have been several of these instances, and I'm saying that there are larger issues that this raises which we have to pay attention to. Police training, the recruitment process, the screening, eliminating these prejudices when they are posted to work in some of these communities, you know. But we also must pay attention to what happens from here.
Independent commission.
Government has talked about, yes, and you know, I agree with the school of thought that says that we need an independent police commission to even regulate the police and to
PIP's not biting
and to look at these matters. It's still seen as a bit too internal and incestuous, if I'll use that word. So elsewhere, like in the UK, they have an independent police commission that in times like this, they will step in, and then it gives confidence to the general public. That kind of confidence is is important because now I'm yet to hear from the relatives whether they will be really pleased. And I listened to the Member of Parliament last night, the Honorable Muntaka, who says, and rightly so, that we need to know what happens after the interdiction. Interdiction is just for a few months, cannot go beyond 3 months or so. I am, if I'm rightly informed, and so within that period of interdiction, what happens? Because you see, human lives have been taken away. We must set the right precedent, and let there be deterrent, so that people know that look, all lives matter, no matter where you find them, and that you must act professionally, especially to the extent that you see, if
you should talk like 1 hour.
No. You see,
but I gave you time before he came, so it's
it is important that we appease families, and also, and you see, no matter what happens, we can't bring the lives back. That's why I commend government for the promise of compensation. We do not know what the sums are. They haven't put out the quantums yet, but it's a good effort, and I hope that no matter how much, you can never compensate for a life lost. You can, but it has to be done. It's good, but let's see criminal prosecution.
That also has been promised.
It's important
that
so
it will
that
kickstart, after this.
I have something.
Yes.
Just a comment. I think when Samuel was talking, he said he's trying to balance the issues. Yes, prejudice is an issue when it comes to the issue that he raised, but let's also make sure that all stakeholders are actually advised to actually also position themselves that prejudice can also be raised. Sometimes when we are confronted with these issues, we the politicians, because we are being controlled by cowardice, fear of probably creating an issue between us and other larger party, and we lose political capital. We don't want to go head on. Yes, the police are at fault. Some of them misbehave, I agree. But we also should find out and be honest with ourselves. How come that certain parts there's prejudice? Why? Why is there? So it means
why does the prejudice
exactly
exist?
So it means there also probably have been a set of specific behaviors or attitudes. You understand what I'm saying? So when we are addressing this issue, we should also use this opportunity to advise our brothers and sisters, whether in Nima, whether it's Legon or whether, once you're Ghanaian, once you're part of the citizenry, once you put up antisocial behaviors, something could be happening to you based on the definition of the law against that act. So as much as we are talking or advising the police and other stakeholders, we should also advise our brothers. How come, let's face it, how come that all the time MPP, NDC, or even land guards, they have caliber of people they use, not necessarily tribe, but they have caliber of people they use, people that are not working, that are idle, that are into certain activities when it comes to society. So I think we should also be addressing these issues as a country. But if we are like, oh, these people they are meted out to them, maybe some discriminatory, whatever, I think we are also not helping them. We should make sure that, yes, the same police are also sometimes attacked.
Interestingly, the UN ratio says 1 policeman to 500 people.
Of course.
What we have is way beyond that. We have about 800 and something number of people to 1 policeman. So that they also have a problem with resources and all of that. We need to look at it holistically. But let's move on to page 16 of the Daily Graph. It says government releases 2 billion to pay contractors. The government is to release about 2 billion cedis between this year and early 2019 to settle outstanding arrears owed contractors, mostly in the road sector. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, said in an interview earlier with Daily Graphic in Accra, Mr. Ofori-Atta said out of the amount, 1 billion had already been earmarked for disbursement by the end of the year, while an additional 900 million would be paid to contractors in the course of the year. Your side in Parliament has consistently said that you are not happy how some of the contracts were abrogated in the name of trying to streamline and review them, all of that. And that has spared a lot of debate around the country about the bad nature of roads in many cases and how people are complaining. Now government says 2 billion to settle some of these people. Good news?
Not sure if it's really good news, because you see, we keep doing these things to ourselves. We keep doing these things to ourselves. Government came into power almost 2 years ago. It's been 22 months. Government said it was carrying out a review of all road contracts.
Okay.
We in Parliament have consistently asked about the status of the review, and when these review reports will be brought to Parliament, will be made public. No response, absolutely no answer from government. Now, the effect of these reviews, asking contractors to hold on. I mean, if you are to carry out an evaluation, the impact on the cost of these projects are going to go up at the expense of the taxpayer. The inconvenience, sometimes lives that are lost. We do know that as these projects drag, sometimes a project that has a completion period of, say, 12 months or 18 months, in the case of the community day schools, for example, which I was privileged to be part of when we were constructing these community day schools. We rolled out 124 of them, 52 completed. The remaining stalled. Contractors asked to hold on. The impact, I mean, you can't even begin to quantify them. Now we are told that after all these months of review, we don't even know the outcome of this review. You ask yourself, was it necessary? Even if it was necessary, should it take this long? And in the process, sometimes businesses are destroyed. Workers are laid off. Some of these contractors, they close shop. It leads to civil disobedience. People lose trust in the political leadership. I mean, should we be doing that every 4-year cycle or 8-year cycle, and doing it in such a manner that, I mean, if Ghana was your private company, will you run it like that? You inherit.
They want to save the state some money.
So tell us how much has been saved. Is it not the same contractors who are going to be paid now? Have they changed the contractors? Have they changed the scope of works? Where is the review report? We have been asking, where's the review report? You see,
what was the motive then? What motive do you see?
Let's set high standards in this country and let us do things right. Let's do things right. I mean, there's a procurement authority, there are laws in this country. If you've taken over, you can quickly go through all of these contracts, find out how they were awarded and all of that. If there's any wrongdoing, quickly find out those who have been responsible for the wrongdoing, punish them, and let the projects continue. You know, Cocoa Roads, for example. The last time, our Win MP, only last week, I mean, he was virtually crying in Parliament. The inconvenience that his people are going through. And these are the areas, Western region, where our cocoa, I mean, they lay the golden egg that helps all of us to survive, helps move this country forward. So all of this, as we speak now, we don't know the outcome of these reviews. And to the extent that you are going to now release monies for payment, it tells me that you haven't found anything wrong. There's nothing untoward, because we don't know whether any contractor has been stopped, or you found any breaches in the procurement laws. This is nothing like that. You have not even re-awarded the contract. You're just going to pay them for work to continue. So why did we do this to ourselves? Why did we do this?
What motive do you see?
The lives we have lost, I mean, the businesses that have shut down.
What motive do you see?
We shouldn't be doing that to ourselves. It's all this, you know, we've taken over. It's the low side of our politics. It's victimization, witch hunt. I mean, you don't need to be doing things like that. Eastern Corridor roads, the contractors were asked to, and you heard them say that, why cocoa roads, and then you brought in roads that are not cocoa areas. Check the principle. You understand? I mean, so will we say that oil proceeds should only be used in areas where we get the oil from? I mean, all kinds of, and every time We asked in Parliament, the argument is changing, positions are changing, but review report, where is it? We don't have it. You know, so as we have been told, 1 billion cedis by end of year, another billion
in
cedis
2019.
Well, let's hope. So many promises have been made by this government. As an MP, we're told that we'll get $1 million per constituency. Still waiting. Still waiting for mine. There's no project in North Town about this $1 million per constituency. And with the penultimate budget has been read, the third budget for 2019. Still hoping. So,
Mr. Moa, where's the report?
I'm skeptical.
Okudzeto says there's no hope.
There's no hope.
Yes, this can't be good news.
My brother, I'm surprised Honorable from the other side is presenting issues in this form just because of politics.
Easy.
Yes. Let me come in. Before I go on. We have been in power under 2 years.
Okay.
Businesses, according to him, collapsed. Let me ask you, what were the causes? When we're having power outage for a number of years under his tenure, or in his tenure, his leadership, when interest rates, lending rates, were actually between 33 and 40.
Okay.
When debt to GDP, I don't talk about debt. Otherwise, America would have been underperforming more than us. You're talking about your liability and your assets. Debt to GDP under them was 73 point something. Treasury bills were even 22 and it came down to about 16, 19. These are the primary micro indicators that shows how businesses are actually being supported by a regime.
That was why the
contract
was suspended?
No, contract. But do you want us to go in there?
No,
let me give you one thing. My outfit,
right?
Practically,
okay.
They ordered buses and other cars.
The
buses, yes, you saw they were parked at the premises, Parliament House. He saw them.
Right.
If you like, I'll bring the document to you. One bus was inflated by over $30,000. I can bring it to you if I'm lying, and I'll give him a copy.
$30,000.
I'm telling you.
$30,000.
I'm telling you.
Then why is nobody being held accountable?
Who told you nobody? I mean, you know, legal system is a process. Ask the
so
woman
you started the process to.
It's going to. Now, as I'm talking to her, it's even beyond Yoko.
Okay.
It's going to court. There are things. You know what I'm saying.
You don't want to.
When you left so much deplorable state.
Okay.
And under 2 years, if roads are not good, let me ask you. Talking about conception stage, planning stage, execution stage, each of them we have feasibility analysis and other things.
Okay.
If you inherit a country, first thing to do per pecking order in developing the country is to make sure you stabilize your primary macro indicators. And now let's compare the figures. Check all of them. Then you move on to your secondary. Check industries, how they are doing now. Check agriculture against what we inherited. Then you move on to a developing country. One major component is your poor policies to ensure that you mitigate impact of hardship. I'm not saying there's no hardship in Ghana, but if we have an era where all pro-poor policies, both kind and cash, go and check all the parameters, the beneficiaries, the amount going to them, and the introduction of even the free SHS. Check how people are feeling. Look, electricity. Let people bring. I'm coming. Let me land.
Let's go. I'm
ending this. That I come to the roots because of what he said. Electricity that people were paying domestically. Go and check whether indeed they are paying the same or not. So these are the things. Apart from the fact that we have even reduced taxes on fuel from 40% March last year to 26%. Those, I mean, VAT on medicines imported into this country that are not produced.
You're not answering my question.
So all these, I'm coming. All these things have been done within 2 years. And here is a member of parliament saying that government promised a lot and he's not seeing anything. In any case, this is not the first time government releasing money for construction. Go and check. Some payments have been made, but of course,
this year.
This year, yes. Go and check. It's done. I can't give you the exact amount, but some amount have been actually made. But I was making my point that when you do all these things, then you move into infrastructure. Developing a country is a process, and sometimes you need to do the audit. You need to find out exactly whether
it says the audits were not necessary.
Well, not necessarily. I remember. No, you remember. Boss, you remember recently. We saved. I'm coming. Oh no. Oh, you want to say something? Sorry. No. You remember recently.
Just to be more accurate, I'm saying that the time, the duration. Okay. People have done the review
in a very short time.
When you talk about audit process, audit process,
we don't have the report.
When you talk about audit process, it doesn't take months. The processes are huge. If I'm to go into the processes,
how long did this one take?
No, it depends. It depends on even the responses from those you're auditing and the institutions and the information.
You can't give them timelines to
but if it's not done, why will government? We have asymmetric information.
So
that probably he's not privy to it.
So we have the report now. Do we have?
I can't say I have it. Okay. I am a stakeholder, but I can't say I have it. It's not in my hands. Okay. But I think if they don't have the report, they wouldn't go further to release more funds.
But why doesn't Parliament have it then?
I don't know the legal whatever he's talking about. But let's address the important issues. The fact
is this is important.
But you know, government saved some money in doing that. We are in this country. They came out and said they had saved some money. We all know the amount. Oh, if you haven't heard that
the government
exactly. So what I'm saying is that we talk about value for money. Value for money. No one is perfect. There's no perfect system.
Let's have the report. Let's have the report.
Whether you have the report or not, things are better. We are doing things in a more appropriate manner. Otherwise, when you start talking, I also interrupt.
If you say, Mr. Moa, that you have saved us money and you can't show us the report to indicate that this was
show who the report.
For example, Parliament. For example, Parliament.
Why are we concentrating on this, in my opinion, irrelevant extract?
The report is irrelevant.
No, the way he's talking about the issues we are discussing
you were just telling me how buses were inflated by some 30,000. And you say, if I care, you could give me a copy of the document.
So let me ask you.
So now, in this particular instance, if road contracts have been inflated, and you say you have saved us money, you should be willing to give us the document as well.
I agree. But what I'm saying is that if government has now released 1 billion and is going to top up to about 2 billion, let me ask you, it's not important because the report has not been released. Is that what he's saying? I'm not saying that knowing the report is not important. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that what is prevailing now, we should rather part the government. A government that is very committed to ensuring that we use our state resources judiciously, effectively, and efficiently. So I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not a parliamentarian. I don't understand what he's talking about. Probably when I get there, I'll understand. But as a Ghanaian, what I know is that a government has been in place less than 2 years. Primary macro indicators are in good position. Pro-poor policies are in good position. A government has to make sure value for money, and that a government embark on exercises to check. And now the government thinks I have to push in more money to ensure infrastructure, which is key for any socio-economic development, enhancement, or progress or growth. The government is doing that. So I'm not saying that, I'm not heaping scorn on what he's saying, no. But what I'm saying, that as much as he's raising an issue, let us say that this government is actually putting us on the right progress path or graph. That is what I'm talking about.
Do you have parliamentary, by just a matter of curiosity, do you have parliamentary intentions? You said when you get there, you understand.
Do I have? Oh, I've even tried a couple of times.
I hear you.
And I'm going again.
I hear you. So you have a rebuttal, your chance to rebuttal. Let's check out some of the messages first, and then we'll come back. You have a chance to do the rebuttal quickly. You can always send us your WhatsApp messages on 020-21-666-33. Make sure that they are short and precise. Okay, children are the future. Gender needs to be treated equally among men and women. Zakaria Alasan, Professor. Hi, good morning, Mr. Hughes. In your comments this morning on TV, you spoke about the 7 who were killed, asking where they got the gun and why they shot at the police. I have a simple question for you. Why is the one single evidence that they shot at the police? Don't forget, these are allegations that the police brought the guns and displayed as being held by the gun on the arm. I think that every gun in the armory has, or the registry has some details. So if we dig further, we'll find. Good morning, Johnny Amat. Congratulations to you, Johnny, for the most recent award. Thank you. You say I deserve it. And it says, now regarding payment to the DKM customers who lost money in a particular deal, I believe it's a good initiative from government. However, government must tell us who the culprits are and what is being done to make these corporates pay back the money. Else, we would set a very bad precedent. Let's remember that it's the taxpayers' money. Our sanitation issues are getting worse. Government is pretending to be doing something, and citizens are also deceiving themselves of doing something. Until we take sanitation as a top priority program, this country will be engulfed in debt, and flood will always be with us. Aaron Madenta, news site. It says, well, he would like to know if the police commander is part of the 22 police who are to be investigated, and would like to know whether where they got their weapons weapons they displayed and they claim belongs to the suspect, Joseph Mbolga. TV3, I think both the girl child. Okay, let's fast forward and try and get some of the messages relating to the conversation as we've had there's so much lawlessness in the country. Some instances involve life-threatening. So on such note, anyone involved in it, be the police or a civilian, will first think of saving his or her life. It's unfortunate those guys were killed, but if guns are involved, will there be there will be death. Okay, the officers need more training handling such issues. Sickle to my community forward. Good morning, Johnny and Doctor. You're doing great as always. Our day looks so exciting and updating us. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Johnny is always highlighting problems. Okay, can you please focus on solutions sometimes? On the issue of food safety, is the fact that the DAs do not have enough inspectors to go around food vendors every day to inspect their health certificate. Even the few are not motivated enough to do effective work. Why don't we take our health situation into our own hands? What is wrong with asking to see the YCSL's health certificate before we buy? Good morning, Anadu. Well, you are not listening to me. I asked the man at the AMA if we could ask them, and he says, yes, we can ask them, but how many of them do have it? That's the question. Perhaps you should listen next time. Emilia Nasawasi said, now that the investigation says that these guys are innocent, we want the head of the police who said these guys are criminals, which was communicated to the media when it happened, should be prosecuted, and those who killed the guys. Greetings to all social democrats. Good morning to you. I've really enjoyed the discussion of our educational system on Daily Run segment as we celebrate Children's Day today. Shalom to all your church members. 7th day. Okay, good morning, TV3 and all the viewers. In fact, TV3 is the best station in the country. We enjoy it and always watch it. Kudos to all the presenters. Rashid in Kumbungo. Good morning, Johnny. I actually agree with you. Our politicians can only feel passionate for us in the election year just to win power. Pray that they listen to change. Okay. Let's check. Okay. Somebody's asking about NAPCO. Okay, good morning. And my humble boss, Mr. Stephen Amwa, please ask him when they are posting the district NAPCO officers to the Maslock offices, because most of other models are working and we're still at home. Mr. Amwa, they say they're working at home. Okay, Aziz Donline, well, it's obviously clear that the Medina-Adenta Highway has claimed more lives than the number of MPs in the legislature, more than 111 ministers at the presidency. Now, if innocent lives are lost day in, day out, clearly the labor force and productivity output will surely be affected as a developing nation. Government must show sensitivity and construct the footbridges at Adenta, you're asking. So the MPP government really plan to solve the sanitation problems in the country when Ghana is still part of the top 10 countries in terms of poor sanitation? You are not happy about it. It says, kindly greet Honorable Ablakwa for me. TV3 serves me breakfast for hosting him in the morning. My message, it says, go for JM. Kwabram Kasem, watching you live here is that must, okay. Yeah, shout outs to plenty people. Okay. Ask the honorable members at the discussion table, do they care about the state of our education in Ghana now under the auspices of the autocratic Minister of Education? Too many. Okay. We appreciate your good work, especially this morning, Newday discussion. Sometimes I don't watch it because you keep bringing political figures. Okay. And they will come there and make noise without talking about the main topics. They only talk in favor of the political parties. My suggestion is that when the headline, okay, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure you didn't send messages regarding it. Take a rebuttal quickly.
And they are enjoying us. They think we are not.
So you had a rebuttal to make quickly.
Yes.
And then we'll touch on one last small subject in the way.
I just thought that my brother Stephen ought to appreciate the issues that I am raising, that they are very important issues, you see, and it has to guide all of us. Government will go, government will come. In transitions, you get handing over notes. The point I'm making is that study the handing over notes. The former ministers, former appointees, chief executives are available if there's anything that needs to be clarified. If you have to do a review, you have to carry out an audit, no problem. Do it. You can't take that right from any new government. But do it in good time. Do it transparently. Let the reports be available. And let there be consequential actions if there's any wrong. But where we keep asking in Parliament, and those reports are not brought to us in the spirit of transparency and accountability, and then all of a sudden we hear that you are now going to release funds to these same contractors. So, and mind you, the cost of this review is huge. You've seen some of the invoices that have gone viral on social media. Some of them in millions of Ghana cedis to carry out these reviews. And then we don't get to see the report. We don't know the outcome. Is that judicious use of taxpayers' money? All those millions of Ghana cedis being used to pay these auditors for these reviews that we don't really know the head and tail. Couldn't we have paid the contractors so that their businesses will stay alive, and the workers who are laid off will be working, and then the country will progress? Because you see, sometimes I even begin to ask myself, or should we just have one term, 6 or 7 year mandate? You know, because 4 years is so short. You've spent about half of your tenure already just doing this review, and you are now talking about releasing.
They are doing other things. You are not seeing the other things.
You people chastise Kufuor when he said that we needed 5 years. I wouldn't say it's you.
I thought that President Kufuor made a lot of sense, and I've always agreed with that with that position. You know. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
let's move on now.
Especially if we'll be doing things like this.
We'll start raising those questions, but let's wrap up with page 3 of the Daily Guide. It says Volta NDC dumped. A group calling itself Volta Caucus, which is affiliated to the opposition National Democratic Congress, has expressed disappointment in the party for failing to elect people from the Volta region to key positions. The group shared their sentiments of Anita DeSoso, defeated national organizer aspirant, that not electing anybody from the Volta region, the stronghold of the NDC, to any of the party's executive national positions was not good enough. This has come up, especially on the back of the fact that the chairman-elect, Mr. Ofusu-Ampofo, says he will create a united front. The Volta region is your World Bank. How come that we don't have any frontliners that talk about regional balance and the fact that your party, for example, has said the MPP is an account party? If you look at your main line now, it looks like you are the account party.
Again, let us not continue to perpetuate this very misleading picture from the NDC Congress. And by the way, a very beautiful Congress, amazing delegates, fantastic outcome. I love the energy in the room despite all the hours of waiting. And you can see a party that is revived, that is reinvigorated and ready to recapture power. So I want to commend all the planning committee members.
I saw you there with your crowd behind you.
I mean, yes, I just.
So I couldn't come close.
I just loved it. I mean, I've heard those who have said that probably we should decentralize. No, I mean, the electricity, that mood, the opportunity to reconnect with, comrades from all over the country. You can't get it any other way. So let's maintain this, but we can improve on the if it was an outdoor event when we had a bigger place, we would have had more polling booths, and this Congress would not have dragged. But we enjoyed it. It was an opportunity to even just reconnect and bond even longer. Now back to this matter of the outcome. Let's be careful not to perpetuate this falsehood. It is not true that Voltarians are not represented in the current executive. It's not true. Within the
they're talking the main line.
How are top positions there? You have NEC members, elected, who are from the Volta region. You have the deputy youth organizer, Edem Agbana, Ruth Sedo, the second deputy. It's also from the Volta region. The deputy women's organizer. So you have not less than 7 top officials represented in the national executive. You see, let's be careful about some of these, ethnocentric comments. It doesn't help.
Was it not the NDC that started
if you
party NPP?
If you look at the fact that I've been doing some checks, finding out that still trying to locate somebody from the Upper West region and the Western region in the national executive. Fortunately, you're going to have an opportunity to appoint some key officers, and that will address some of those.
The Volta region looking at a running mate to balance the equation.
Some of those imbalances. And I can tell you, Johnny, that I am so excited that today the NDC, because you talk about the historical antecedent.
Right.
In as much as you can fairly and rightfully argue that the MPP was criticized by some as being an Akan party.
Right.
The NDC historically had also been criticized as being a non-Akan party.
Right.
That we don't create room for Akans.
That's right.
Yes. So if today the NDC has such a domination of Akans in terms of frontline positions, chairman, communication director, youth organizer, women's organizer, general secretary.
All your three secretaries are.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Doesn't it show that the NDC is truly a national party and attractive to every Ghanaian from every part of Ghana? I see it as a plus, a blessing. So I'm not one, and I'm from the Volta region.
Right.
And that's not, I said, look,
Will the Volta region clamor for a vice presidential candidate to balance the equation?
It is people in the Volta region, and so I'm so impressed with the level of, nationalism within the NDC. These delegates, I was interacting with delegates from the Volta region. You vote in
regions and constituencies,
on regional basis, and in the queue, you saw who they were campaigning for, rooting for. For example, the communication director, Sami Jemfi, so much energized the youth. They were all rooting for him, despite the fact that Fred Agbenyo, my own good friend and good brother, is from the Volta region. And people say, look, Fred Agbenyo has paid his dues. This is not his time. And these are Volta region delegates. It tells you that it's not just about, I mean, is this same Volta?
Answer my question for me.
You see, people are trying
the
to...
running mate...
So yeah, I'll come to that.
We're almost done with time.
Yeah, I'll come to that in a jiffy. People want to drive a wedge between the NDC and our World Bank. It's not going to work. It's the same delegates from the Volta region who voted for these candidates, and they are excited about them. But for Swampufu, Asiedu Nketia, and all of that, despite there was Koku, it's not as if you didn't have Voltarians given the opportunity to contest.
Right.
But the Volta delegates still voted for the people they wanted to vote for. So I think that is a blessing. It's a blessing for the NDC. Vice presidential candidate is the preserve of the flag bearer.
Will the Volta caucus clamor for it?
I
push for it?
I think that we should not stampede. I would say that let us not stampede the flag bearer when he emerges on who he should
Will you make a suggestion to him?
I would be interested in a candidate who excites, because the delegates have sent us a clear message. Look at how they voted. They were not voting on just ethnic lines. They were voted on people who can do the job, who can excite the party, and the flag bearer should be so guided, not necessarily where the person comes from.
Sivo.
Sam is really struggling.
Not at all.
The fact is that don't let us try to simplify issues the way he is, because probably he's found at a tight corner. Those who are raising these issues are Voltarians. Where comes from Anita Disoso? These were public statements made by NDC strong, I think, supporters or active players. I'm coming. Oh, Sammy, I think when you were talking, I kept quiet.
I thought you need
Sammy, let me ask you, if you buy a new car, there's always a spare tire. Its functional use per year, can you calculate? In politics, there's something called interface players or roles, and it always requires that you maximize your strength by integrating that into your regional balance. The NDC stronghold is Volta region. Nobody can dispute that. There's no ambiguity about that. You cannot say anything about that.
Not that they have frontline attacks.
I'm coming.
They break into your flanks.
What actually led to was not the fact that the Voltarians wanted it this way. No. What happened was that
it was an open election.
Prior to that, the NDC had some sort of implicit division, like they were divided. There were a school of thought within the party.
They had reorganization,
can you also allow me to flow small, boss? Your questions are good. That one is a fact, but allow me to flow small. They were thinking former President Mahama wanted to come back, and they were of the school of the thought. They were having this thinking that no, per the unprecedented defeat that he actually took the NDC based on his poor leadership style in terms of fighting corruption, in terms of a whole lot of things that probably happened in Ghana that had never occurred. If they bring him back, Ghanaians within this short time will not go and vote for Mahama again. Because what he did, it will be very difficult for any NPP flag bearer to beat that unprecedented poor performance. And these guys had come, you remember about 7 of the proposed whatever or perceived flag bearers of the NDC came together against Mahama. But Mahama had money. So he used the money against Votarians because most Votarians didn't want Mahama to come. No, I'm coming. Let me finish.
These are interesting things you're saying.
But you remember what happened? You saw social media, the monies they were sharing. In fact, whether NDC or MPP, I put up a quote, and a lot of people were praising me a few days back. They were like, I was like, whether party or be, the use of money as inducement tool in choosing leaders in our country will not augur for us as a people. Because what happens is that it introduces arbitrariness in our decision-making process.
I agree with you
in choosing leaders, and we all become victims and complain.
I agree with
whether
you.
NPP and DC, that is not good.
I agree.
But we realize that President Mahama, former President Mahama, used money against all those who lost, especially from Votarians, because Votarians didn't want that.
I can't believe
this. But you saw, social media, you saw that. Sammy knows.
Social media on what? The UMB thing?
No, look.
But the UMB bank has come
to on your screen.
The UMB bank. Look, the UMB bank.
I'm not talking.
The UMB bank has come to say that. I think that's not right.
But I have never mentioned. I didn't even see that one. I'm talking about different extracts. But what I'm saying is that the party had divided based on the expected leadership of the party in terms of flag bearership. And that the Votarians were heavily against Mahama coming back.
So this will go against the NDC.
Big time. Big time. Sammy knows what I'm talking about. This is a piece of information he knows. Sammy knows. He's my brother, he's my friend.
This is below you. So me, who has been campaigning,
don't say that.
Who has been campaigning?
You should rather be bold and say asses.
I have been campaigning unbelievable.
It's time for us to talk about food, its enforcement, and the way we handle it, whether we're doing appropriately, the way it's supposed to be handled when it comes to science. And there is a group called the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association, which is advocating for the enforcement of these standards and these laws. They're joining me in studio, and I have the chairperson for the Central Region Association. She's Anita Danso, and also Victoria Bawa. She's a council member for the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So let's start off by finding out, when we talk about Ghana Traditional Caterers Association, what group is it and what do you exist primarily to do?
Thank you. Ghana Traditional Caterers, we are a group of people who deals in food, especially we sell food, we prepare it and sell it.
Right.
We have the food vendors, we have the chopper operators, and the tea sellers. All this group of people, we came together to form the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association. I'm from the Central Region and I'm the chairperson. But we have the association in all the 10 regions. We have our headquarters in Kumasi. And we have the other regions too. Each and everyone have its office at each of the regions. Right. The Central Region, we are located in Winneba. But we have all the zonal branches in different districts that come up to form the Central Region.
Okay, so the purpose of this group, this association that you formed, what are you championing, or what's your goal as an association? What do you bring to the fore for any Ghanaian and also for yourselves?
We have bylaws and then code of ethics, and we want it to be enforced. Because we are relaxed. Anybody just get up, get some food cooked, and just come to the roadside and start selling. Anyone cooks, put it on the head, carry it along, and then be selling. We have seen that it's time for us to come together and then see the health aspect of it, sanitation, the way we handle the food, be it raw material or how it is processed, and then before it gets to the user.
But how are you going to do this? Because yes, there are bylaws. Yes, that's sort of the government's role to play. But as an association, how do you ensure that your members are enforcing these laws that exist? Because you can only start in your small corner and then gradually will creep into the whole system where every other food vendor or caterer would learn from your good practice. So what small thing are you doing in your side to make sure that at least your members are even, you know, going by these laws?
Okay. With us, we have a team, a task force that goes around to check our members.
Right.
Only if we are part of the association.
Okay.
Because we give training to our members quarterly. We train them on how to handle their food, how to prepare, the type of raw material they are supposed to use. And all the bylaws that we have in the association, we make sure, so far as we are a member of the association, you go by the laws and practice what we are expected of you to do.
Very well.
That's why we came together as a group, because you can go outside there, you go and see someone who is not part of the association. By doing things other way, you cannot control the person or put the person to stop of whatever he or she is doing. So we sat down and we decided to get a good code of standard for the association. That was 2014. Busak Fan helped us to do advocacy. Then we went to Ghana Standard Authority to get this code of standard. Since 2014 that the code was launched, it has been there.
Right.
Nothing has been done to it.
Okay.
But looking at the situation, it's like it's governing only the members of the association.
Right.
But we have more than who are not part of the association, who are practicing whatever we are also doing outside there.
Right.
But who is checking them, no one knows. And Health and Sanitation Authority, who are supposed to do that, nowadays no more.
Very well.
They are not checking anyone. Anyone can stay at any corner, cook. Do we even care wherever he's cooking the food from? So this is the reason why we are campaigning that this code of standard that we have putting together, we paid for it. It was very costly. So the government should help us to enforce these laws so that it will govern each and everyone who is selling outside there.
Very well. So let's go on to the phone. We're joined by Mrs. Joycelyn Ejakwa Emusa. She is Food and Safety Management Department of the FDA, Foods and Drug Authority. Good morning, Mrs. Emusa.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we've got the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association in studio with us, and they are campaigning for the National Food Hygiene Standards and Code of Good Practice to be enforced when it comes to the way food vendors practice and also how caterers go about preparing their food. What do you have to say concerning this matter?
Thank you very much. I think that the Caterers Association, we work with them in terms of ensuring good hygienic practice. We actually offer trainings for them, and also we also have the Healthy Street Food Incentives Program that FDA has with FAO. It's something that from next year it will be rolled out, and I think that we've done the inception meeting, and we've gone around to traditional caterers, indigenous caterers, and the other associations to talk to them about it, because when you talk about food safety, it's everybody's concern. And so this is something that we have actually come out to do. So for the traditional caterers, we actually have had some dialogue with them, and we are continuing it. With the environmental health officers too, we are going to have trainings for them so that when they go out there, they know what to do. Currently, yes, they are issuing the food handler certificate, which is not enough because it's only one of the parameters that is required for good hygienic practice. So it is something that we are looking at to improve.
Very well. So what goes to those who are beyond associations, those who are not part of any association? Because from what I understand, your engagements tend to be those who are already in groups. So those on the street who wake up in the morning and decide to cook their own foods and go out there, how is FDA checking and making sure that everyone is abiding by these bylaws?
The healthy street food incentives is not for just associations.
Okay.
The associations actually, they are able to put most of them together so that when we are offering these trainings, I mean, we are able to get the masses to train. But it doesn't mean that the others are not of concern.
Right.
What I'm saying is that for the healthy street food incentives, every street food vendor is supposed to be part of it. That is why we have already started with the sensitization program, just to let people know that this is something that is coming. Right. So if you're a street food vendor, if you are a caterer, you must be interested in it and then try to be part of it. Because this is something that would help all of us to ensure that good hygienic practice is actually being done for every food that is being sold out there.
Very well. Finally, there is a concern about the certificates that these food vendors and caterers possess, because it is not obvious to the person who's going to engage them, and you cannot really demand for it on site. How then would the citizenry be able to know whether this particular food vendor is certified or not to carry out business?
Okay. For the healthy street food incentives program that we'll be coming up with, it's going to be such that after the food vendor has complied with good hygienic practice, the FDA would issue a street food vending permit, which they would stick on their store or their vending point. So whoever goes to buy would see this street food hygiene permit. And the program would also issue a star when you maintain good hygienic practice for a period of time. So anybody who is coming to buy would actually see this and know that this person has complied with good hygienic practice and therefore has been issued with a street food vending permit. So these are things that we will be rolling out. We will be going around with the environmental health officers to check on these, and then when they comply, they will be issued with a street food vending permit.
Very well. We hope to see that pan out in the years to come, because you said hopefully this will roll out next year. So we'll be looking out for that. I'd like to say thank you to you, Mrs. Joycelyn Ejakwa Emusa. She's the head of Food Safety Management Department at Foods and Drug Authority. So let me come back to you, Anita and Victoria. You've heard what FDA has said. At least they're making some efforts to also complement your campaign. But finally, what word do you have out there to other food vendors and also the caterers who are not abiding by these bylaws up until FDA or any other regulatory body does put in some measures to make sure these are enforced?
Okay, thank you. We thank Mrs. Joyce Enusa very well for the step ahead they are putting it together. But we are praying it should be data, because she said the health and sanitation only deals with the health certificate, and that's not enough. As she have already said, that it entails a lot. Even the standard of cooking utensils that you are supposed to use, they are all included. So as they are hearing our cry, and they are also praying by next year, all the enforcement will be intervened and everybody is going to buy by it. We pray that it will work fast, because we are dying out. We are dying out serious, because when you go out there, sometimes you see things that people do. It's very uncalled for. Because sometimes when you walk around, you approach people cooking just close to filthy place, rubbish, but people go there to buy.
But there is a balance in Ghana saying, I mean, there's a certain type of food which, if it's not cooked by the gutters, unfortunately, you wouldn't get people patronizing it. And that's where maybe the problem is our culture. And some of the things that we've learned over time has to definitely be relearned. But we're grateful to have you in studio. Let me say thank you to you, Anita Danso, chairperson for the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association in Central Region. And also Victoria Bawa, she is the council member for the Ghana Traditional Caterers Association. We have been talking about food safety and how to ensure that the laws that have been set out will be abided by every caterer and vendor in Ghana. Certainly we'll join their campaign to make sure this becomes a reality. But we have more here on Newday for you, so stay with us. Don't change the station. Stick and stay right here on TV. We'll be right back.
Welcome and thank you very much indeed. Last week we had a conversation about police brutality with lawyer Francis Xavier. So we're continuing the conversation and this chamber as well here on Newday. You can always join us on WhatsApp 02021666633 or on Twitter at TV3 Ghana, or you can tweet directly at me at Hughes_on air. I'm being joined by lawyer Ni Pakpo Samoa Ado. Counsel, good morning. And Kofi Asante is with the United Press for Development. He is not excited. He's wearing a red headband. Kofi, welcome and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very
Why
much.
are you wearing a red headband?
Absolutely.
On a Tuesday morning?
Thank you very much. And it's all because we are quite unhappy with the speed at which media persons are being brutalized in our country. And we are demonstrating on Friday, 23rd of November. That's why we have the red headband.
You are demonstrating?
Absolutely.
Counsel, the state of police brutality, I'm sure you have had a few cases come up to you. What does it look like?
It's unfortunate. It's becoming a problem that is going to have both national and international dimensions. National dimensions because persons who commit what we call tortious acts, that is, acts against the rights of other persons outside a contractual obligation. So maybe you and I don't have a contractual relationship for which my rights will emanate from the contract. But then the law also makes provision for civil action against persons whose actions have wronged others. And so where you cause harm to my physical person and you fail to, or you fail in your public duties to do certain things which result in injury to myself or my property, then I have rights at law. And so I know that some persons are taking action against some authorities and some individuals, because of course the road and the police are a public institution. They have a duty to discharge a public function, and so that public function interacts with the rights of citizens. In the performance of those duties, where they exceed the lawful mandates that they have, you know, they are one of the only few institutions that have the power to use force, a certain amount of force. But that force must be used within the law. And so once you go outside the law and it causes injury to persons, then you can be subject to both criminal and civil liabilities. And I think a lot of people feel that the only remedy available when, for example, a police officer slaps you is that you should go to court for only civil remedies, that is damages for the wrongful act. You can actually report the policeman to the necessary authorities, that is the police themselves. Lodge a complaint of assault. The police will give you a medical form. You fill it. You bring the evidence of the medical injury, and then they will process the policeman for court.
I see. Kofi, now some say that you journalists bring this upon yourselves, how you are brutalized, you know, in the line of your duty. Some say you are too inquisitive. What do you say to that?
You see, we live in a world, our part of the world has the tendency for us to use, if you like, force and aggression to get information. We are always pushing for information. Look at this, the Right to Information Bill. How many years now? Over 10 years. We're heading to 20 years. They are not ready to pass the Right to Information Bill. This will warrant us access to information and all of that, but they are not ready. So we use our intelligence and our skill, if you like, to get access to information. And that's why we are quite inquisitive. But they should know that we live under the rule of law. At least the 1992 Constitution grants us access to information in a way. All right. So you can't say journalists are inquisitive. For that matter, you would have to slap the
GJA would often put up a statement and say that, well, this particular one, the GJA will put up information and say that, well, we condemn it in no uncertain terms. The last time we heard, we're putting together a legal committee to look at some of these things and to push for prosecution. Is that not enough?
It is not enough, and that's why I always have a problem with the money-led GJA. We are very uncomfortable with the skill at which he's leading the GJA with for the past years. I wish he didn't even win this time around.
No, but that's not fair.
It's not fair, but it's also unfair to just issue statement and relax and sit in your air condition offices.
There's a legal committee being constituted to look at these things.
You see, when you have a legal committee constituted to look at assault against media persons, and over the years, we've had nothing, no result, not even a single one. From the beginning of this year, especially the Lateef Idrisu case on the 27th of March, this assault happened and caught the attention of the world, or the entire world, the media across board, all right? But up until now, today is November.
Okay. Council, let me wrap up the conversation with you. You're expressing shock at some of the images on our television this morning. You say this is not correct, this is not right at all.
No.
How do we stop it?
You see, we must reorient our police service. I agree that when there's a route situation, there'll be the need to call upon some amount of force. But when you are captured on video with an unarmed civilian, virtually assaulting that civilian, there must be consequences. So there's been a call for an independent commission outside what we have for PIPS now, because it seems PIPS has not been able to...
Is it not biting enough?
It's not biting enough. So there needs to be an independent commission that would deal with civil complaints by civilians against police for all manner of actions.
It will be a human institution.
No, but you see, it's beyond, because other than that, we'll clog our courts. We need that administrative system that will be empowered to dish out administrative punishments, among others, whilst we also advise the citizens and educate the citizens that there are court remedies available. There are judicial remedies available for such actions. And then we start to hold police officers who commit criminal acts criminally liable for their actions.
Council, I thank you very much. Kofi, so the demonstration is when?
It's coming up this Friday, 23rd of November. We are all gathering at the National Theatre. Would walk to the Ministry of Information and present another petition. We think petitions are not much enough. That's why we are doing
before yielded no response.
At least we had a meeting with, we didn't get attention of Mustafa Hamid, but we've had some attention with Kojo Opon Kroma. So we're out for it this Friday.
Council, thank you very much. Lawyer Nikpapo Samoa Ado has been my guest with Kofi Asante. He's a member of the United Press for Development. They are getting ready for their demonstration this Friday. And that's how the cookie crumbles here on Newday. I'll see you tomorrow with the rest of the team. On behalf of the team, have a good time. And know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, only you can achieve it. Top of the morning to you.